I'm 30 years old and I'm actively applying for a new position at a different company. Do you have any interview tips?
Record yourself frequently and watch the recordings immediately, and then record yourself again and again and again. So first, congratulations. It's awesome that you're trying to get a new role. I love when people are trying to grow and be ambitious and get to that next thing. And also, thing I encourage anyone when they're thinking about going to a next role, it's like, it's not always about the next role. Sometimes you go into a new role and you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't have done this. So if you're going for a new role and you're ready, like you're just ready for something new, awesome. But if you're going into a new role and you're just kind of chasing like the next thing, really consider how good you have it where you're at, because sometimes it's not always about the next role. Sometimes it's about just enjoying where I'm at. However, if you're thinking about that next role, and that's awesome, I'm psyched for you. Here's what you should be doing. First, you should, when you're ever on like Zoom or Teams or whatever video conferencing tool your team needs, you should be using some earbuds, and the earbuds should be connected to the audio of your computer. And while you're doing that, you should also have your phone where the earbuds are not connected to the phone, and you should have your phone set up to record yourself. So the purpose of the earbuds is so that the audio from the computer is not going out loud, it's going into the earbuds. That way you're only recording yourself and your audio, and you're not recording the audio of other people, because secretly recording people is creepy and illegal, and we don't want to be doing that. The reason that we do that is you should be recording yourself really frequently when you're setting up to go into like an interview cycle or like a high stakes presentation, because you want to see how you show up. And how do you show up in like normal conversation? How do you show up in high value conversations? How do you show up in high stakes conversations? I encourage people that they should be taping themselves. Anytime that you've got something high stakes coming up, you should start taping in your everyday meeting. You should tape yourself a few times a week. You should be taping yourself in meetings where you're presenting something. You should be taping yourself in meetings where you're simply listening. You should be taping yourself in one-on-ones and in group meetings. You should be taping yourself when you're showing up with senior leaders or with people or your reports. You should be getting lots of data points of how you show up from a physical perspective, physical or verbal perspective, a communication perspective, and an empathy perspective. And so what I mean by that is anytime we're speaking to other people, we're kind of juggling three things. We're juggling our physical and our verbal presence. We're juggling our ability to read the room, our empathy, and our ability to shift and move. And then how both of those things support our communication. So you should get a sense of like, by doing this kind of recording, how you show up from audience to audience to audience, what your really strong areas are, and also what your real weak areas are. I want to tell you that it's not just about recording, it's also about the watching. And the watching sucks. Watching yourself on tape is like the worst thing, but it's also the most beneficial thing. Now, if you record yourself for an hour, I don't think that you should watch an hour. What you should watch is the first 3 minutes, the middle 3 minutes, and the end 3 minutes. So just kind of look for the arc of your presence, how it shows up. And also look for any, like if you're presenting for 10 minutes, go and watch that 10 minutes. So it's not about like speak for an hour, watch the tape for an hour. It's not a good use of your time. Just watch the snippets that give you the arc of how you show up in each one of these things, or lets you focus on the few minutes where you were really active in it. There's also value in reviewing tape of where you're just listening to see how you look when you're just listening. Because sometimes people can have like a real shitty look on their face and they don't need to. Like they can look like impatient or bored or anxious. It's important to know that. So the idea of recording here is you turn yourself into your own audience. And once you become your own audience, you're able to see the impact of how you're showing up physically and verbally. Your ability to like shift and move so you can read the room, your empathy, and then also how your communication is supported by those things. The other thing I encourage you to do is come up with 20 questions that you anticipate you're going to get asked, and then tape yourself being asked those questions. So have someone just behind the camera asking you those questions and then taping yourself doing it. Again, you're looking for physical, verbal presence. You're looking for your ability to like read the person or read the situation and adjust. And then also you're looking for your communication. If you do those two things, you are going to absolutely crush in an interview. And remember, interviews are high stakes. There's something to win or lose. And high stakes scenarios require the highest level of preparation.